Earlier, I also had the chance to speak with Andrew Smith-Lewis, as well as CAIS, who is the CAIS Chief Innovation Officer, as well as someone everyone knows, Mike Novogratz, CEO of Galaxy Digital. I had a chance to speak to them about investing in crypto assets and getting institutional investors involved, company earnings at Galaxy, as well as Novogratz's outlook on Bitcoin. Have a listen.
Start off with a $64,000 question.
Yes.
Like listen, predicting markets is always difficult. What I would tell you is, in the last few months, we've seen an unbelievable mindset shift where people thought about crypto as just Bitcoin until a few months ago. Bitcoin has a great asset to protect against the debasement of fiat currency, right? We've got profligate spending by central banks and finance ministries all over the world, and so people were buying Bitcoin as an inflation hedge. The rest of crypto they didn't really understand so well, and now I think the whole world understands that Web3, right, the Internet of Value Exchange, is a real thing and it's coming. And so you've seen this huge shift in some of the other coins. I think collectively, it's a big stamp that says, hey, this crypto revolution is real, it's here for good, it's an institutional asset class, and money's going to keep going in. And so, listen,
End of your price target?
So Bitcoin's 45,000. I think it could finish the year over the all-time highs at 60. And I think, you know, in 3 to 4 years, it could be 500,000.
Okay.
That 500,000 gets it to around where gold is.
Okay, but, and while at the same time, there are folks who are buying the dip. Michael Saylor has been scooping up more Bitcoin, putting them into his reserves on MicroStrategy. Do you have any update on Bitcoin reserves at Galaxy Digital?
Well, we're a public company. We'll put our earnings out, you know, after the third quarter. We have Bitcoins, Ethereum, lots of other coins. We have lots of venture investments on our balance sheet. We have mining, and so we've got a big balance sheet.
Are you buying in this quarter?
We're buying I shouldn't say non-stop, but we're always buying, right? We're taking profits, we're reinvesting, and so we like the market.
Crypto, ABC.
ABC.
And speaking of which, you have a partnership with Andrew, and maybe Andrew, you can explain what that entails.
Sure, we're an alternative investment platform, CAIS, and we've partnered with Mike and with Galaxy for distribution. So we help the independent channel get access to great funds. Also, my focus is on giving people a little bit of the confidence that Mike has. So helping advisors speak with confidence and conviction about alts is a re-education process, and that's what my focus is. And we've partnered a lot on creating great content for the market to help educate them.
They can start by wearing good jackets.
Obviously, right? Obviously. I could see all these advisors wearing, we'll start a fashion revolution for financial advisors.
And what was interesting was I saw that part of this is that there needs to be a re-education of the chartered financial analyst, traditional finance education, or the RIA education.
Yeah, I think so. I think, look, crypto in a way is like the alternative investment, and I think for it to really go mainstream, especially in wealth management with traditional advisors, we need a modern new approach to education. And it's not just about dissemination of information, it's about helping people acquire usable knowledge, and that's what's really key. And we can use technology to do that. Fortunately, the technology exists, and this is a great moment in time to do that.
Okay, so in your conversations with the hedge funds, the institutional investors here at this conference, how are those conversations going? Are they warming up to crypto? Are they, or what? There's
a gigantic institutional awakening that you can't miss Web 3.0. You can't miss the next internet. And so every single investor I speak to, from pension funds to hedge funds to family offices, realize there's an urgency to understand what's happening. They need chips on the board. And so you're seeing lots of money pour into any crypto venture fund that's being raised is raising lots of money right now because people are short this asset class.
What products are you advising for exposure?
Listen, we love when people buy our stock because Galaxy stock is a proxy for the whole crypto space, right? We have venture, we have businesses, we have Bitcoin and Ethereum and Luna and Solana and all the other what we think are important ecosystem coins. We love people putting money in venture. We just raised a $325 million venture fund specifically targeting the metaverse, right? The digital world, right? Which is collapsing or colliding with crypto at an accelerating pace. And so I haven't been more excited about the opportunity set. And I think, my excitement, my energy is coming from the fact that everyone I talk to wants to get in the space.
Are there certain coins that on your radar here? We're seeing Solana skyrocket, Algorand.
Yeah, so listen.
I know you're not a fan of Cardano.
Well, there are two things that are happening at the same time. This idea that Web3, it's like, what does Web3 mean? Web3 means that you can use this blockchain-based base layer of trust. Everyone thinks it's probably going to be Ethereum, but Ethereum is still slow. It's slow because it's really decentralized. And so ecosystems like Solana, which are Ethereum competitors, are far less decentralized, right? But much, much faster. And so, like in the NFL, speed kills, right? Speed wins. And right now, there's lots of people saying, hey, I'll give up some safety and security and decentralization to get my product working faster. This isn't going to be a debate that goes on for long periods of time. And so the platforms where lots of developers are working, where there's great user activity, we're vesting in those. There's a second story going on that's fascinating to me, and it's that's people using crypto or using new assets as identity and paying for identity. I would say Cardano is an identity token, right? That it's not used by a lot of people. None of the developers that we talk to are building on it. None of the funds I know are investing in it, but it's got a gigantic market cap and it's got a very passionate community of people that almost wear it on their sleeve. And it's the same thing we're seeing with GameStop and AMC and quite frankly, anti-vaxxers. This is identity. It's not that they really care about the vaccine as much, it's their identity. And we've now monetized identity. And it's fascinating because there's a resilience to that. I'm shocked how long GameStop's kept up its valuation. The valuation makes no sense to any equity investor in all time, but as an identity token or identity stock, it's making sense. And so they're kind of two separate stories going at the same time, which I find fascinating. It's
certainly a millennial phenomenon. But Andrew, when you're looking at our RIAs, what kind of allocations are you recommending to get exposure into crypto? And I don't think older generations care about identity so much.
Well, they should.
Okay.
Actually, but I don't make recommendations. So, and we're agnostic to that.
Well, allocations even.
Even allocations. What we're really focused on is empowering advisors to have that knowledge to be able to make an informed decision for their client. And so, you listen to Mike speak about all this, and the first principle is sort of understanding a bit about how the blockchain works. And I think that people don't really appreciate that at scale. And so our thing is about how do we drive that sort of factual information in a way that people can really understand it, and then they can listen to people like Mike and other experts in the field and figure out what are the right allocations for their clients based upon their own risk tolerance and their views of the future.
So one thing that's absolutely super crystal clear to me is zero is not the right allocation. And so every single investor has to get off zero because it's just not the right allocation. Right? The total crypto market cap is about $2.5 trillion. I think global wealth is 450 billion, or probably higher, trillion, probably even higher. So crypto market cap is still less than 0.5% of global wealth. Like, you'd be crazy looking around the world. You don't have to be a great prognosticator not to think that that's significantly higher in a few years. That or something really wacko's happened. And so you got to get off zero. And if there's one message I want to get people, it's like, get involved. Start by buying Bitcoin, Ethereum if you want to. Buy our stock. Listen to your financial advisor. But once you're in, you start paying attention. That's the way that the brain works.
So speaking of Galaxy, in the first quarter, 860 million net profit. Second quarter, 176 million net loss. Any preview
to the third quarter? Listen, if you look at the prices of a basket of coins, our profitability is still somewhat correlated to how the market's doing, and the market's had a pretty great third quarter, and so you would guess that our third quarter is a lot better than our second quarter, without giving any hidden inside information. So the activities we've seen in every one of our businesses are awesome. And I can't imagine that doesn't continue into the fourth quarter. There is so much momentum in the space right now.
Maybe some comment on the ETFs and the volumes you've been seeing there?
ETF volumes are picking up. You know, we don't have a U.S. ETF yet.
Do you see that happening?
I think you'll get one in either the fourth quarter or the first quarter.
Oh, okay.
Again, I don't know it grand insight. You know, where we've applied, we're in the queue.
Okay.
But
are you in talks with regulators?
we talk with regulators a bunch, either directly or through industry association groups. I think there's a gigantic opportunity for the crypto community to educate regulators, to work with regulators, to work with politicians. We fell shy in that in the last 5 years, right? Politicians are literally in first grade right now.
Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong would disagree. He would say that they've been trying to speak to regulators, specifically the SEC, and they've been having trouble in that regard.
I read Brian's comments and I thought they were fascinating. When I was saying this broadly, I was saying the crypto community didn't do a good enough job educating DC. And so politicians are making decisions on things they have no idea about that are really important. And so we need to double our efforts, and we are at Galaxy, talking to people in DC, making sure they understand what's at stake, that this is a technology play, that this is not crazy speculation. I mean, it drives me freaking crazy that Elizabeth Warren, who's a very bright woman, is constantly out bashing crypto when crypto is a progressive movement at its core.
She's into stable coins,
and it's a technology, and it's a technology movement. We are building a base layer of trust for the next generation of the internet of value transfer. And you'd be crazy as a politician, crazy as a regulator, not to want that to have a lot of U.S. footing.
Right. Yeah. Just correct. She's into new central bank digital currencies, rather. So government-run stablecoins. But nevertheless, there are jurisdictions, other countries that want to be much more friendly regulatory-wise, such as El Salvador, which also recently one of the advisors to the president mentioned that he doesn't want to tax crypto profits, and there are more inviting jurisdictions. Met with that, do you think that will prove to be very competitive against the United States?
The U.S., Europe have giant economies, big regulatory regimes. We have to get them right. This is where it needs to be done right, or the whole space is going to slow down. Listen, there are places like Bermuda that are really crypto forward. Singapore's really crypto forward, and lots of companies will set up there and innovation will happen there. But if we don't get the regulation right in the U.S. and in Europe, this whole movement's going to be much, much slower.
That being said, what do you think about the Bitcoin law in El Salvador, Ukraine possibly?
Listen, I think it's fascinating. Bitcoiners
they had a lot of glitches,
Bitcoiners are split. One of the things that a lot of Bitcoiners, as I said, it's progressive on one side, it's libertarian on the other. A lot want freedom, and so to be told you have to accept is kind of counterintuitive to Bitcoin. But listen, El Salvador's a dollarized economy. 20% of their GDP is from remittances, right? From El Salvadorians working overseas, sending money back. Right now, it costs a shitload to send money back from any country to a home country. And Bitcoin and other crypto ecosystems make that really, really cheap. When I was a kid, it used to cost $3 to call Germany. Now it's free. The same thing is going to happen with transfer of money around the world, transfer of value. That's the genius of the blockchain.
And finally, I've got to wrap, but just my favorite question is, do you think that Bitcoin could eventually be the reserve currency of the world?
There's a shot. Listen, I don't in some ways want it to be, which is counterintuitive, right? I spent my whole life in Bitcoin, in that I would love the U.S. policymakers to do such a good job that they rebuild confidence in the dollar, right? That the deficits go from 14% back to zero, we're at a surplus, that our tax base grows, that we put ourselves on stable footing. That doesn't look that possible. So people are buying Bitcoin as a hedge against that, as most bet is that we're going to have a slow depreciation of the dollar. Not Venezuela, not Nigeria, but we're going to have a debasement of 4, 5, 6% a year. And all of a sudden, after 4 years, like, shit, I've lost 20% of my value. And so I own a lot of Bitcoin because my base case is it's going to be really hard for U.S. policymakers to get it right, to land the plane. Right? We have a social division in our country, and so you've got Democrats now wanting to spend lots of money because we have a rich-poor gap that's a mile wide. We have very little fiscal profligacy, and we have so much debt that it seems the only way out of this is to monetize it. And that's the most likely path, and that's why you want to own hard assets like Bitcoin. I don't want us to become Venezuela. Like, we'll have breakdown of civil society, we'll have wars, we'll have death. And so if I had my wishes, you know, Yellen and Powell would be magical, and the economy would grow, and rates would normalize, and Bitcoin would be less important. I just don't think that's going to happen, so I think Bitcoin's going to be really important.